Hi.
Good evening.
We were just sitting here waiting for you. So now you're here. Okay, so we're on day 5. And today's Monday.
Today is Monday.
It's been a while since we met. Yesterday was yesterday hard? Today was hard.
No, yesterday was Sharknado.
Oh my gosh, we watched Sharknado all day long. We watched Sharknado, I think we watched it for like 8 hours.
There's like, I don't know,
Sharknado.
five movies?
No, I thought I don't know.
Maybe more.
I think there was 6. There was so many, and we just watched it all day long. Yeah, that was yesterday. And yeah.
It was silly.
Yeah. Hi Bob, hi Ingrid, thanks for joining in. So, we were just detoxing and getting ready for tonight. So, today wasn't really hard though. We had a good day. Other than I broke our dog. I broke one of the dogs. Yeah. I was doing our grooming tutorial and he flipped over and fell into the wall and busted his eye open. That's always fun.
Bust his eye open.
My boss at Bark Avenue says it is what it is. We can only do what we can do. So you can only do the best you can. And that's what we're learning here today, because these Israelites definitely, they didn't really do the best they could. They really didn't. They really had a hard time.
You didn't pray.
They didn't. I didn't. Am I praying?
Mm-hmm.
Let me pray. Lord, I just thank you for tonight, and I thank you for your word, and I thank you that your grace is sufficient and that your word never fails. And I thank you that even though we're stuck together, there are new things that we can learn and do each and every day. And I'm very grateful for that. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
By the way, Saturday, when we went into this and Moses led the people out of Egypt, we flipped over to the TV and guess what was on?
It was Moses, and he was leading the people out of Egypt. It was so crazy.
The 10 Commandments.
It was so crazy. So yeah, so your homework was Numbers 14. So let's get to Numbers 14. The people, the Israelites, man, they are just characters, because as we see here in Numbers 14, they rebelled. And they rebelled like so much. Hi Ashley, thanks for joining in. They were just hard-headed. I mean, we're so hard-headed too, but they were really hard-headed. And so there was 2 guys, Joshua who's son of Nun, and Caleb, who was son of Jephunneh. And those 2 out of the 10 were like, yeah, we could take the land, we can go into the promised land, and we could do this. And the other 8 were the naysayers, and they were like, no way.
No way. They're too big. They're too strong.
And Joshua and Caleb were like, but it's the land flowing with milk and honey. And they're like, no. And unfortunately, they just grumbled and complained. Those were the key words we saw. Grumbling and complaining. And they were just so
Negative.
They were so negative. Do you know how negative they were? They were so negative that God finally said, how long will this wicked community grumble against me? How harsh is that? God is even exasperated with them, and he's like, what more can I do for these people? Like, I did 10 plagues to get them out of Egypt. I opened an ocean so they could walk through it. I killed off their enemies with the ocean smashing on them. And now they're still complaining. I just want to give them the promised land, and they still want to grumble.
He said, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, how long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the complaints of these grumbling Israelites. Not only once, he said it twice, like back to back.
I've heard them, and guess what?
I've heard them again.
I've heard them again. So guess what? He's done hearing them. So he says 40 years for 40 days. And God help us if we end up with that happening. So 40 years for 40 days, God tells them. 40 years for the 40 days you went to scout out the promised land, and you said it was going to be, I wanted you to take this land and I wanted it to be great, but you complained and you said it was going to be terrible and you said you couldn't do it and blah, blah, blah. So 40 years for 40 days, they were going to have to go in circles, walking around in circles in the desert until everybody that was 20 or older died off.
All the grumblers.
All the grumblers.
And the complainers.
And the complainers. So all the kids, 19 and under, they got to live. Joshua and Caleb got to live. But all the grumblers.
Moses got to live.
Moses got to live until he got to the edge of the promised land. Then God just...
That's completely...
That's another story. So the other key words were, now we're ready. This is great, because honestly, I don't remember this part of the story. So God tells them 40 years or 40 days, you're going to wander around in the desert. I'm not going to go with you. You can't conquer the promised land now. And so there's the other 8 guys, right? The 8 guys that said the grumblers. They die of a plague. They die of a plague. And then what do you think the Israelites say? Oh, woe is us. We're going to have to wander around in the desert for 40 years. We're so terrible. No. They turn around and they say, now we're ready. Now we're ready to take the promised land. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? You can't take the promised land now just because you think you're ready now. Mm-hmm. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
And he even said,
do not go up because the Lord is not with you. You will get defeated. Moses is like, what are you saying? You're going to get beat down. God doesn't want you to do that.
And what they do? Nevertheless.
In
their
presumption. They went to the highest point of the hill. And it's like they even went to fight this battle uphill. Because they went to the Amalekites, the Canaanites, who lived in that hill country. They came down. How hard is that? Like, I'm not much of a war tactical person.
But you always take the high ground.
If you're going to fight a battle going up the hill, don't think that's the best way to fight a battle. Like, the person...
Take the high ground.
Yeah. Well, they already had the high ground. The enemy had the high ground. The Israelites were not going to win this battle. I mean, the only way they were going to win going uphill was with God. And God wasn't with them.
But in their presumption.
Wow. Yeah. So that was
So they got beat down.
Yeah.
Beat them down.
Beat them down. All the way to Horma. Wherever Horma is, they got beat all the way there. So, yeah. In the desert, they had to wait for 40 years. And that was what God did, because they didn't listen. So.
In the jungle, you must wait.
Till the dice reads 5 or 8. We watched Jumanji, too. So, we're just watching all these great movie classics. So, the key verse that I thought was very key was, now we're ready to go up to the land the Lord promised. Surely, we've sinned. They acknowledge they sinned. So that should be good enough, right? Once we say, hey, we screwed up, God should be okay with us and we should be able to do whatever we want, right? No. You know why? Because our sin has consequences. Mm-hmm. And just because we acknowledge our sin doesn't negate the consequences of our sin.
Don't presume
that just because you're ready, God's ready. That's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And milk and honey, 40 years.
Yeah.
For 40 days, that got me. Because right now we're on that super, I will try to go tomorrow.
Oh, no, that's in our Bark Avenue message. Sorry.
So.
Oh, Mario's watching. Hi, Mario.
Hey, Mario. So, 40 days.
Yes. They were in the land. They scouted out the promised land.
And that
saw it was full of milk and honey. Yep.
40 years. So
40 years.
The way we look at it is we're 30 days. Quarantine. And then, of course, right now we're on the super tight 2-week.
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, if we would have just did the quarantine when they told us to the first time, maybe the 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't do it. So, are we good now?
So.
I said I'm sorry.
No.
Doesn't that work?
No, because you didn't do it for 2 weeks.
But I can't say I'm sorry now and be fine?
No. No, you can't. So it turned into 30 days.
Well, I don't like that.
Well, you get what you get. That's what you got. Like it or not.
Get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
And you were presuming that
I could just say, hey, I'm sorry, and wear a mask and slap it on and go about my life. But that's not enough. It's not enough.
Homebound.
Now we're stuck in this house. In the desert, we must wait till the dice read 5 or 8. It's Jumanji, just so you're wondering why I keep saying that. Okay, so we don't have to go over the 40 years because obviously they did the same thing over and over. They grumbled and complained. They walked around in circles. It was horrible. So we're going to take us all the way to Joshua 1 where there is some hope. So let's go to Joshua 1. And in Joshua 1, I'm so glad I named one of my kids Joshua because Joshua's a pretty cool guy. Because Joshua, if you remember, Joshua and Caleb are the only two that went to the promised land and got to still be there. Moses doesn't even get to the promised land, but like we said, that's a whole other story. So in Joshua 1, we see God is telling Joshua to be strong and courageous over and over and over again.
How many times?
1, 2, 3, 4 times.
You should read it.
Be strong and courageous.
Because you will lead the people
to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right, to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go.
I have not commanded.
Have I not commanded
you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
Wherever.
Whoever rebels against your word and does not obey it, whatever you may command them will be put to death.
Oh, but wait. Just before that it says, just as we fully obeyed Moses, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. Wait a minute. Hit the brakes. Pump it just a little bit.
This is the Israelites. This is the Israelites saying this one.
The Israelites are saying, just as we fully obeyed Moses.
But these were the 19 and unders that didn't know any better. In their eyes, they had fully obeyed Moses all their lives. That's why they were still alive, right? And everybody else was dying off, so they don't know any different. Just like your kids remember history and all those things that happened totally different than you remember them, right? They don't know what was happening in the background. They don't know all of the things that happened behind the scenes. To these Israelites, they fully obeyed Moses. But what they're telling Joshua to do, how funny is this? They're telling Joshua, last verse of this chapter, only be strong and courageous, Joshua. That's what they're telling him. Be strong and courageous, Joshua. Heck yeah, you need to be strong and courageous because these people grumble and complain all over the place.
And they're going to follow him. Just like they followed.
Just like we followed Moses.
So.
Poor Joshua, right? He not only was stuck with these people when he went to the promised land and then they grumbled and complained and they all died. Then he was stuck with them as they wandered around in a circle in the desert until they all died off. And now he's stuck with them still. He's still stuck with them until he gets them all to the promised land and divides out the land and gives them their portion in the promised land. It's exasperating just to say it.
He's just stuck with them.
Stuck.
He was stuck with them in Egypt.
Stuck with them in Egypt. Dude, he's been stuck with them forever. Forever.
Makes 30 days seem kind of small.
Yeah. Don't be this grumbling Israelites in your home.
Don't grumble because you're stuck at home.
I wasn't grumbling. I was just breathing. Okay? Be strong and very courageous, Jimmy. I will obey you, just like I obeyed Moses. Anyway.
Moving forward.
I thought tonight was a great lesson on being stuck.
Oh, we got another hi.
Hello, dear Chastity and Mr. Head. That's Ingrid. She's from BSF. And Mario said, hi, guys.
What's up, Mario?
And as always, anybody that's watching, if you have any questions or comments about our study for tonight, we always love to interact with you guys and be able to share what we think or what you think, or it's supposed to be open dialogue. So this is about as open we can get. So we're open to whatever you want to share out. And we can stay longer if you want, because that's why we did 9 o'clock, because we figured kids are asleep or something. So, not that we have kids in the house. Our dogs are sleeping, so they sleep. They sleep 3/4 of the day anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, what's stuck with you? What's stuck with you for today?
Stuck with you.
I don't remember where the Israelites said, now we're ready. We've sinned. Now we're ready. We're ready to take the promised land now. And then they got beat down.
Because they were presumptuous.
Yeah, I don't want to be presumptuous. That's a nice way of assuming, right? Presumptuous is a nice way of saying you just assumed you could do this. And everybody knows that's never good. So, I don't know. That's what stuck with me. That one really stuck with me.
Be strong and courageous.
Yes. That's a much better one to be stuck with.
Be strong and courageous.
I think we all need to be strong and courageous. We can get through this. We just need to be strong and courageous. And when we can't be strong and courageous, we should just walk away to another part of the house until we can breathe and meet back at a better time.
For 40 minutes?
If that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Whatever it takes. So, yeah, that's what we got from it. They really were stuck. Poor Joshua. I never realized how long he was stuck. Yes, he was stuck a long time.
Forever.
Okay, well, then that takes us to our homework. So your homework for tonight is Judges 14. We're going to go to Samson. He's a guy. He's a stuck guy. So we'll be in Judges 14 for you to review, and then we'll go over Judges 16 tomorrow. But
yeah. Go over 14 and 16.
We do that because, see, tonight, this is really messing with him because he started with having a topic that you guys did for homework, and then he reviewed the homework, and then we had a topic for the night. So he really messes with him, and I keep telling him that's what we've been doing, and he's still every night he's so confused. Yet it's his itinerary. So
I'm ready to go though.
I was less stressed tonight because we started an hour before. So yeah.
So be strong and courageous.
And just because you think you're ready doesn't mean you are. So let's not be presumptuous and think we could just be done with this and
go out in public with
Who was
no mask
doing
on.
that? Who was talking about that? Somebody was talking about that, about one of these, that they were under quarantine and then they got out too quickly and then they had a huge relapse or something. I think it was probably the Spanish flu because I don't know what other one.
Oh no, the lady was talking about people playing basketball at the park.
No, that lady had a lot of questions. We're in Ridgecrest, and they do like open forums for like their city hall thing.
Well, all do. All
okay, well, we're a very small city, and so it's very funny. I don't want to bad talk our city, so I'm just like the woman had a lot of questions, which is good. It's good to ask questions. There's no wrong questions, right? She's had a lot of them. That's all. I guess there's nothing else I can say about that. But there's a lot of you guys watching. There's like 5 of them watching. They should like say something.
Say something.
They don't have anything to say.
Yeah. So once again, be strong and courageous. Stay in place. Do what they say. Wear your mask.
Yes.
Lest this 30 days turn into 60 days, turn into 60 years.
Oh my gosh, why would you say that?
30 years. 30 days?
14
years?
Nobody wants to go there.
2 weeks? 14 years?
No.
3 days?
The title was Weeks or Years. What say you? So we just want to have weeks. Nobody wants years. I don't think our country could survive that. So let's just do what we can do while we can do it and do the best we can with what we got.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you guys so much for joining in, and I will be turning it into a YouTube link. It'll be on our YouTube channel for you to be able to share with those that do not have Facebook. Thank you, Bob, for joining in. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much. God bless.
Bye.